you're up.
Nope. Good morning and welcome to the Indy Boomer Show. I'm Mary Pat McKee and I publish a magazine, Indy Boomer. And I am sitting here this morning with Hensley Poindexter from a new attorney firm.
Altman, Poindexter, and Wyatt.
I don't have that all memorized. I was so used to the other Campbell, Kyle, and Prophet that it's taken me a while to get that in the brain, boomer brain. Before we get started with Ann, because she's got some really good information for us this morning, I want to mention, as you see on the screen, that is the September-October issue of Indy Boomer magazine, which you can pick up at any Kroger or Marsh store in Indy and the surrounding areas. One other thing I want to mention, and I'll mention it again at the end of the show, and that is that we have a really big event on Saturday night called Bacon, Beer, and Boomers. What more could you possibly want? And anyway, just to give you a couple quick details about it, the event will last from 5 to 9 p.m. It is up at the Carmel gazebo, which is up obviously in Carmel, as you might guess, on Civic Square. And Carl Story is our band that will be playing from 6 to 9. Patty Spittler and some other reporters will be there from 5 to 6 up on stage talking. We also have some free tickets to give away to some different events as well. So please try and come if you can. Oh, by the way, the menu is all bacon. Everything has bacon in it, so even the brownies have bacon in them, so I'm not too sure about that one. But Ann writes for us, and that's what I wanted to talk about. She wrote in the September issue about guardianship, what you need to know, so pick the magazine up and read that. But today we're going to talk a little bit more beyond just what the article talks about. But tell us, what is, in general, define guardianship.
Well, guardianship, I tell people sometimes, guardianship in a legal sense is somewhat like being the parent. Guardianship is when you have legal decision-making authority over an individual.
Okay.
And it can be a very limited authority or it can be a very broad authority.
Okay.
In the analogy of a parental role. You know, when we parent a child, we make medical and financial decisions for that child. We make all of those decisions when the child is young.
Right.
And so that's the broadest sense of guardianship. And we do that for children because young children are not capable of making their own decisions.
And I think a lot of people associate guardianship with children.
And that's one fairly significant category.
Okay.
I mean, you know, unfortunately, accidents happen. And there are some children who do not have available parents through accident or through some other misfortune. Their parents are not available because of some issue that the parent can't be available to care for the child.
Right.
And so that is a category where sometimes a guardianship needs to be established so that someone else can act in that quasi-parental role and have all of those areas of responsibility for a child.
Okay.
But here's another area where on a fairly regular basis we act in a partial guardianship role for a child. You know, a lot of times when we talk guardianships, as human beings, we walk around every day with these preconceived notions. And so most of us think guardianship's over a child who doesn't have an available parent.
Right.
Guardianship's over an elderly person.
Now, see, that's where obviously probably the boomers come into play because I've never, doesn't mean anything, but I've never heard of a guardianship of a parent or an elder. So speak to that.
Okay. There are more and more guardianships of elderly individuals in this county, these counties surrounding Marion County, where there are not available individuals to assist the senior.
Meaning maybe they don't have any children?
Maybe they don't have any children. Maybe they don't have any family. Maybe they're estranged from their family.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Very regularly.
So somebody could become their guardian?
Somebody could become their guardian.
Okay.
Absolutely. Even when they do have a family. because of difficult family dynamics, difficult family relationships.
Right. Unfortunately, that is very true. You know, the other question, and you and I were started to talk about before the show, and that is, tell me the difference. Okay, so I understand. So guardianships. Well, I want to know the difference between guardianships and power of attorney, because I know that's what a lot of people do. Can you not be outside of the family and be power of attorney? I don't know. Explain that.
Sure.
To me.
So a power of attorney is a document where you give someone the power.
Okay.
And powers of attorney are planning tools where in one sense we're planning in part to avoid the necessity of a guardianship. By signing a power of attorney and by giving someone else powers in the event of incapacity, then we may well be able in the future to avoid the necessity of a guardianship.
So, because you could have power of attorney in place and you may never need to use it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's the beauty of those planning techniques to plan for the power of attorney. Now, guardianship is established by going to court. So a guardianship requires a petition to be filed with the court.
Okay.
You know, it may involve an investigation by a guardian ad litem to whether that is an appropriate, person that has petitioned for the guardianship.
Tell them what, I have a couple friends that are guardian enlightened. Is that, did I say
ad
that right?
litem?
Ad litem.
Yes.
It must be Latin because I don't know how to say it.
It is Latin.
Okay,
We
well, I didn't learn that in my Catholic education.
We lawyers love our Latin terms.
Okay, but explain to people what that is, because unless my friends did, I would never know.
Sure. And a guardian ad litem is a trained volunteer that conducts investigations for the court.
Right.
It is a wonderful resource and a wonderful program so that they can conduct investigations and come in and make reports to the court in cases and give the courts additional information for the judges to make decisions and make better decisions.
And real quick, just so everybody knows, as a volunteer position, my friends are retired. So, I mean, if you're retired, you're looking for something to do, it is really a great way to give back to the community. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you go on with what you're saying, because I want to know.
Petition filed, maybe a guardian ad litem investigation.
Okay.
And then the judge appoints a guardian. And the law sets forth certain priorities in who can be guardian.
Okay.
For example, a person nominated in a power of attorney, and now you're going to look at me a little bit cross-eyed because I just told you if we had a power of attorney, chances are we wouldn't need a guardianship. But there can be some complicated situations in which,
we need both.
Where we do need both. And so in the power of attorney documents, just in case we do need a guardianship, there will be a nomination of a guardian.
Okay.
And so a court will look at a nomination, a spouse, a child, there's a priority there.
So you don't go in and say, I want to be guardian of my parent. You have to be nominated, am I understanding
You
that?
don't have to be nominated.
Okay.
But that's one of the priorities in the law for the judge to consider before appointing someone.
So there's usually more than one person that's on that list?
There's a list of priorities.
Okay.
And so that's one of the priorities in the list.
I got you. Okay.
Makes sense so far? So
I'm a little slow, so you have to say it twice.
But in establishing a guardianship, the other important factor too is that we need to have a physician's report. So I can't just go in there with you as my client and talk to the judge at hearing and say, we've decided that mom just really is not capable anymore.
Right.
And we can't have the guardian ad litem do an investigation and the three of us say to the judge, mom's just not capable anymore.
You need some documentation.
We need more than that. We need more than that.
And that's where the doctors come
And that's
in.
where the physician's report comes in.
Okay.
So that's important evidence that has to be filed.
Is a guardian, I'm going to say it wrong, guardian enlightened, always used in all scenarios of guardianship?
Not always used,
Okay.
and I'll tell you why. In
Okay.
many instances, sometimes we have consents, and this seems very strange, but sometimes individuals who have diminishing capacity to make decisions will acknowledge that they have diminishing capacity.
Okay.
Sometimes all of the family will get together and agree, you are the person who should be the guardian.
Okay.
Everybody consents. And in those instances, very often the judge will decide, we've done a background check on you, you're not a convicted felon.
Right. So those are pretty clean cut.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
but you still got to go in front of the judge to get it right. Where like with a power of attorney, you don't.
correct.
Okay.
That's
Because
right.
you would draw
One is-
papers for a power of attorney and you're done.
Right.
Okay.
One is a proceeding in court, and one is totally outside of the court.
Okay.
Power of attorney is completely outside the court,
Okay.
and a petition for guardianship has to be filed with the court.
Gotcha.
And a guardian is appointed through an order of the court appointing a guardian.
Sounds good. Tell us, what else do we need to know about the guardianships?
Some of the things that we do, which are through the guardianship code, are what we call proceedings in lieu of guardianship. In other words, they're a little bit short or shy of guardianship. You know, things we do.
So you don't quite.
Don't quite, get a guardian appointed.
Okay.
Something that happens fairly regularly that people don't think about until it happens at their house is if a child gets injured and has a personal injury settlement, parents do not have the authority to accept or negotiate a settlement over a certain dollar limit for a child.
Okay, wait a minute. So a child gets hurt at home and there's a settlement?
Your child gets hurt at somebody else's house.
Okay.
And you settle. Okay. You want to settle with the insurance company, and they're going to pay you $50,000.
Okay.
You have to get authority to authorize that $50,000 settlement because that's above your parental limit. Now, here's the good news. Sounds very strange, doesn't it? We don't think about that until it happens.
And this is a minor child, and the parents still have to do something. Right. Okay.
Right. And the good news is, although most of us as parents don't know about that, the insurance companies do. And so
I'm sure they'll
tell you,
do.
fine, we'll settle, but before we can send you the check, you have to go off and get us something. But the good news is, it doesn't require a full-blown guardianship. I mean, you don't need any other powers to take care of your child.
Right.
So you wouldn't want to go and get a full-blown guardianship.
You wouldn't need it.
No, because you don't need it.
Right.
So there are other available procedures under the guardianship code where we can just go and get a minor settlement approved. A very
What is
simple.
that called?
It's just a minor settlement.
Okay.
Where we can go get it approved.
No Latin words on that one?
No Latin words on that one. Sorry.
Okay.
And it's been too long since I took my Latin classes. I could probably make some up, except
Well, you probably couldn't. I wouldn't know the difference. But that's something, and thank goodness, like you said, most people haven't had to think about it because that you don't run into that kind of situation very often.
Here's another one that we use sometimes for parents. Sometimes people don't have powers of attorney. Sometimes mom and dad won't sign a power of attorney.
Right.
Sometimes people just have been able to operate, as I say, under the radar to help mom and dad.
Okay. Yeah.
But they have growing concerns. And they don't want to go off and file for guardianship because, what did I say? It's a proceeding in court. And so we've talked about it pretty calmly, but it's dramatic. And filing for guardianship over someone is a bit demeaning. It's okay if they consent,
Right.
but if they don't consent,
Then you got a battle.
it's a battle, and that's not good family dynamics. It's not. But under the guardianship code, there's also what are called protective proceedings, where you can file a petition for basically a single court order about protecting money or property.
Okay.
Okay? So here's...
Oh, you mean for like your parents?
Right.
Okay.
So here's an example. Mom gets all of these credit card offers in the mail, and she thinks they're great. And so she signs up for every single one. And you're scared to death that the caregivers that you convinced her to have coming into the house are going to start accessing them. And it really, really worries you.
So you can
A petition for a protective order might allow the judge to give you an order notifying all of the credit bureaus, the 3 of them, putting a lock
that's not
on her credit. No more.
So if they were to take those cards, they're no good. I mean, the credit card. I mean, it might work, but they can't actually. I mean, you're not responsible.
Right.
Okay, we got to wrap up, and we could talk for an hour, but I want one quick question: does power of attorney take precedence over guardianship, or vice versa?
Great question. Because we've had many cases where someone's gone in and filed for guardianship, and we can go in there and argue, don't need one. There's a valid power of attorney out there.
Okay. And
only if that power of attorney doesn't have broad enough powers, only if there is a need that is not covered in the power of attorney.
Makes sense.
And if that's the case, then the guardianship powers should be limited only to cover that need. So back to the beginning of our discussion, not a parental analogy in that sense, because you can have a court order for guardianship that is very broad, like parental powers, everything. Or you can have a court order of guardianship that the only power I have is to manage the checking account. Okay.
Well, that's true, and because I know there's power of attorney for medical sometimes for just financial. Okay, we gotta quit because we're way over time. But Ann will be back again another time.
Thank you.
Anyway, I guess the bottom line is, and we learn this almost with every show that we do, if you have questions about any of this kind of information, call an expert. And Jim, you have her number on the screen, or?
I will.
He will. Give her a call. And there you go. 350-1000.
317-350-1000.
Okay, very good. Hey, want to remind everybody, Sunday, Boomer TV. It is in the magazine, that's right. Pick up the magazine at any Kroger or Mars store. And also be remembered on Sundays to watch Boomer TV at 10:30 with Patty Spittler. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
That's where I got it, was in the book.